Right then guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another Let's Talk. I think it's like the third time in a row now I've done one of these. Basically, James Pearce has got an article out today with Raphael Honigstein, who's like a Bundesliga expert for The Athletic. And it basically touches on Szoboszlai, how that deal was done, and Liverpool's future transfer activity, if you're going to think there's anything in there to do with that. And then I'm also going to touch on Bobby Firmino, Sadio Mane, and yeah, maybe see what else is out there as well. I've seen a few rumours about Fabinho today as well. But anyway, let's get cracking with this, shall we? So, this article is called Inside Liverpool's Szoboszlai Deal, Driven by Klopp, Smoothed by Schmatke, Blessed by Haaland. After Liverpool met with Dominic Szoboszlai's agent early last week, they weren't initially optimistic that an agreement could be struck. Right, I've not read this, right? I bet you any money it's got something to do with the finances of the deal. Convincing the Hungarian captain to make the move to Anfield wasn't an issue. Szoboszlai was enthused about the possibility of continuing his development under the guidance of Jurgen Klopp. Agreeing personal terms on a 5-year contract worth around 120 grand per week was relatively straightforward. Again, I want to shout out Dave Stewart. You sent me a message in regards to this about the wages between, that Mount and Mason Mount and Szoboszlai had allegedly agreed, and you're on the money, mate. I think that's 2 articles I've read in 2 days that have mentioned that, so on the money there, mate. However, the structure of the deal with RB Leipzig was problematic. Here we go. His £60 million release clause was not only needed to be triggered by the end of June, but the vast majority of the fee had to be paid up front. There we go, guys. That's the problem. We said this, didn't we? When we first got linked with this guy, I did, sorry, shall I say. I said, I bet you any money that when they said that the deal was like going to be hard to do or something like that, and I was like, how can it be hard? He's got a release clause. Pay the release clause and it's done. There's nothing hard about it. The cost of transfers can usually be spread out over instalments over a number of years, yep, but this one would require a hefty immediate cash outlay. It had deterred other suitors, including Newcastle, given the implications in terms of meeting financial fair play requirements. Waiting until July and attempting to negotiate a lower fee or payment plan with Leipzig after the clause had expired was not an option for Liverpool. They knew the Bundesliga outfit were under no pressure to sell and the cost would only have risen. As Liverpool assessed whether they could make it work financially, the burning question was, how badly did Klopp want Szoboszlai? So, do you know, this article here, guys, is proper winding me up. So, you can imagine this, right? So, we're going in for Szoboszlai. We've been told what's crack, and then can you just imagine the people coming back to Klopp going, how badly do you want this guy? Like, is anybody else you'd rather go and get? It's going to cost us 60 million up front. Is anybody you'd rather get that's a little bit cheaper? Or we could sort out some sort of payment plan. Like, can you imagine? Honestly, these guys, man, honestly. The answer was emphatic. The manager viewed him as the ideal multifunctional attacking midfielder to complement the arrival of Alexis McAllister. First team ready, but young, hungry, and with the potential to hit much greater heights. Szoboszlai had impressed Klopp with his dynamic performances for Red Bull Salzburg against Liverpool in the group stage of the Champions League in 19-20 season. The German coach continued to watch his progress with interest after he moved to Leipzig in January 2021. Such had been Leipzig's confidence in Szoboszlai's development, they renewed his contract that summer, only 6 months after his arrival, before he'd even played a game for them due to a long-term injury, increasing his release clause from €55 million to €70 million, pushing it back by a year. He went on to score 20 goals and provide 22 assists in 91 appearances. Wow, that's good, isn't it? That's really good. That's almost like a goal or an assist every like 0.5 of a game, isn't it, really? Do you know what I mean? That's not bad at all, is that? Liverpool had targeted Mason Mount prior to the end of last season. Yeah, they did. But they felt that the cost of the package for a player with 1 year left on his contract was going to be excessive. Probably again. Man United rivals for Mount's signature had the advantage of being able to offer Champions League football and went all out to get him. After the protracted negotiations, United ultimately agreed to pay Chelsea 60 million for the England international, who will earn around £250,000 a week at Old Trafford once his deal is finally completed. Regardless of Mount's preference, Liverpool wouldn't have matched those figures. So there you go again, guys. Now, I agree on the transfer fee. I remember when we first got linked with Mount, I turned around and said I wouldn't pay more than 40 million for him. He's in the last year of his contract. He's English, yes, so you have to pay a little bit more than what you normally would do anyway. But 60 million for someone in the last year of the contract? Really? Alright then. And also I do kind of think that the wage package is a little bit excessive. But again, it says there Liverpool wouldn't match them figures. So who would Liverpool match these figures for? Who would they? As well as having significantly lower wages, Szoboszlai is younger and arguably more tactically flexible, given his ability to play as a 10, an 8 and out wide in a front three. Liverpool also view him as a decent option to deputise for Salah during the January AFCON tournament, which could take the Egyptian away from the club for over a month. Alright, then it makes sense, doesn't it, to get this deal done? It makes sense to get it done. I kind of thought Elliott would probably be his understudy, but yeah, Szoboszlai, depending how it goes, he could be a good addition there. The reports Klopp got back from friends and former colleagues who had worked with Szoboszlai in Germany were glowing. They referred to his work ethic and leadership qualities of a man who was appointed the captain of his international side at the age of just 22, following a vote by his teammates. The Hungarian had flourished at Leipzig last season under the guidance of Marco Rose, who played for Klopp at Mainz. Rose had been a mentor for the gifted midfielder when he initially broke through at Salzburg as a teenager. Leipzig's analyst noted how Szoboszlai had a great feeling for starting the press with his run, often acting as the trigger. Their Austrian midfielder, another player, I'm not pronouncing that name, told staff he had never seen a number 10 work so hard against the ball. Which is good news, isn't it? You know, who would you say is our trigger now? Like, it probably used to be Bobby Firmino, wouldn't it? But and then you would expect it to be Nunes or Gakpo at the moment, but I don't know who it is at the moment. I don't know. I'll have to watch back some clips. Maybe it's someone like Salah or something. The Bundesliga club were first alerted to Liverpool's interest around a month ago, but at the time they felt that Newcastle might be his likely destination. Leipzig's preference was to keep him, but knew if he left it would be for a club record fee given the clause. By middle of last week, Liverpool were the sole contenders for his signature, something that senior Anfield figures were surprised about given his talent and reputation. It was only on Friday morning, less than 24 hours before the release clause expired, that it became clear that Liverpool could proceed, with FSG giving the green light to the financial outlay. Sporting director Schmatke called his Leipzig counterpart later that day to inform them that the clause was being triggered. So really, Schmatke really didn't do much by the sounds of that to start with, is it? Basically, he's got the phone call. Yep, you can do it. Go for it. Right, we're gonna pay the release clause. Right, nice one, done. That's his job done, isn't it? Really. Let's see what else gets said. Szoboszlai is now the fourth most expensive signing in Liverpool's history and has been the topic of conversation the day previous, when the duo had sorted out the finer details of Fabio Carvalho's season on loan to Leipzig. I'm going to say Salzburg again. It was the first incoming of Schmadtke's tenure, with his predecessor Julian Ward completing the transfer of McAllister last month before handing over the reins. Schmadtke's input was sought given his wealth of Bundesliga experience, but this was a deal very much driven by Klopp, with Szoboszlai having been a player of serious interest long time before the handover. I'm not going to go over the rest of it. It's all about like that bit there, because that was all about him coming to the AXA training ground. Szoboszlai has been friends with Erling Haaland since their days together at Salzburg. The Man City striker was in contact to offer his congratulations on the move, and Haaland had also been providing advice on where to live, with the midfielder spending time on Monday looking at properties in Chester before boarding a private plane with his father and his agent to fly to Hungary. He intends to say goodbye to Leipzig before returning to Kirby to meet his new teammates next Tuesday. So when the team reporting on Saturday. Szoboszlai is not going to be there till Tuesday, guys, by the looks of this. Now, this is where it might get a little bit tasty for us, shall we say. Liverpool intend to take stock as they consider their next move in the transfer market. Klopp wanted to sign 2 multifunctional midfielders capable of providing more energy and creativity to refresh that department following the exits of James Milner, Naby Keita and Miox as free agents. That's been achieved at a combined cost of around 95 million before the start of pre-season, which gets underway with the first wave of returnees to Kirby on Saturday. No sagas, no fuss, just 2 release clauses triggered. What's his point there? Is his point there to say that FSG have done a good job? Like, as he's just pointed out, all they've done is trigger release clauses. Yeah, Klopp wants the players. Yeah, there's probably done a fair bit of research into it, but they're not done anything. There's no hard work there. There's no negotiation. You've paid 2 release clauses. Jesus, man, get out of the arse. Fuck me. Nice's Thuram is no longer viewed as a target, with Liverpool having ultimately decided that Szoboszlai was the better option given his greater versatility, experience and skill set. We heard that the other day, didn't we, as well? Liverpool... hold on, is anything else about Thuram here? Scroll down a little bit now. Right. I think, guys, in all honesty, Thuram will happen if Thiago leaves or someone like that. I do think that Liverpool will still bring another midfielder in on top of what they've already got, but I do think then if we're going to see Thuram coming, I do believe he'd be like a Thiago replacement. I can't see him overloading that much. I think at the moment, does he mention how many we've got? It's next paragraph down, isn't it? We've got 9 midfielders apparently. 9 senior midfield options, yeah, it's the next paragraph down. Already. If you sign Thuram, that's 10. If you sign Lavia, that's 11. And if we're playing this new formation with the box where you've got the four midfielders, having 9's not a bad option, is it? You know what I mean? Like, or 10, because what if there's an injury? And then we're playing Europa League, we're playing FA Cup, Carling Cup, well, Carling Cup now, is it? It's Carabao Cup, the league. They're not all going to play every single game. Like, you rotate, don't you? So if you've got 4 midfielders that's going to play every game, you've got an option at least twice a week to rotate that around, haven't you? And play another 4. And then you've got 2 that are going to be on the bench, which, in my opinion, right now, you'd have, like, Bajcetic. He wouldn't be a starter for me, you know, he'd be on the bench. You'd have... you could have, like, you know, Henderson potentially would step into the Milner role and would lose game minutes. So then that's your 2 that are on the bench. And then you just swap and change, don't you, between the other ones? So I would probably say that 9 or 10's 10 is probably the max you'd want for a 4-man midfield, especially if you get injured as well, knowing our lot. Like, how long's Thiago going to stay fit this season? So, saying you've got 9 now, Thiago's probably going to be injured for, what, 2 months? So then you've got 8. So, I don't know. Where was I? Let's go down a bit further. Liverpool could yet move for a young centre-back if the right option becomes available, but they won't pursue a third midfielder unless one of the current crop leaves. I don't believe that, guys. I don't believe it. I don't believe it whatsoever. If you include Trent, who finished last season in a hybrid role, Klopp currently has 9 senior midfield options, with McAllister, Szoboszlai, Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Bajcetic, Jones and Elliott. It remains to be seen if that situation changes. Thiago has attracted serious interest from Saudi Arabia and has already turned down one offer. However, he currently intends to stay put for the final year of his contract. Again, I'd get rid of Thiago. That sounds harsh. I would allow Thiago to go if the right deal came in for him. Just because he's got a final year in his contract. His injury record's not the best. He's a great player. I've said this in a video yesterday, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but he's a great player. I followed his career a long time. He's probably one of the best midfielders ever to have played the game, potentially. But he's just... It's few and far between when he's hot. And he can't be relied upon to be in the team long, can he? So, yeah. I'd let him go. And as I said yesterday, I think in my video, I do believe he's probably holding out for a better offer to come from Saudi before agreeing to it. Henderson has also been linked to a move to Saudi following Gerrard's appointment, but there's been no approach so far, and Liverpool do not expect to lose their long-serving skipper. I wouldn't feel comfortable letting Henderson go, especially in the same year when you've lost Henderson. You know, two captains, people that set the standard for everybody. I know Henderson gets a hard rap from a few people out there, but the facts speak for themselves, guys. He's probably Liverpool's most successful captain in my lifetime. It's not the best captain, like I'm not saying that, but the trophies speak for themselves. You know, Gerrard was probably a better captain, like who led the team by personal example, and dragged the team to victories and won games by himself. Yeah, Gerrard in that situation is better, but you can't deny the fact that Henderson's won. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it'd be bad to lose him and Milner, especially if we're getting a younger, more vibrant players coming in that are going to be new to the squad. You need some of them veterans around, to help them bed in and set the example of what's expected to be at a club like Liverpool. Since wrapping up the signing of Szoboszlai, there has been an ever-growing speculation that Liverpool have turned their attention to Southampton's Romeo Lavia. He is admired, but as things stand, they are not pursuing the Belgian defensive midfielder. They do not believe they have a gap to fill currently, and they also feel that an asking price of £50 million is far too high for a teenager who has only made 17 more appearances in his career than Bajcetic. I think that Lavia would be the ideal heir apparent to Fabinho. 50 million, yeah, I agree. Too much money, 100%. And that's why I think that he's mentioned that there. I believe this is James Pearce trying to put out there a little bit of pressure on Southampton to be like, yeah, Liverpool are interested. Lavia maybe wants to come to Liverpool, but we're not paying 50 million for him. Lower the asking price, then maybe we'll change a little bit. But as you can see, we've got a fully stacked midfield. We don't really need another one. But that's what I think's going on there with the asking price. If that asking price is about 40 million and Liverpool can spread that out over a couple of years, they would snap that up, 100%. Despite all the recent noise around Thuram, it is worth noting that Jones and Elliott have been two of the best standout players at the Under-21 Championships as they prepare for England's semi-final with Israel today. Klopp has been delighted to see them showcase their talent on the international stage and expects them both to kick on again next season. It's all well and good you saying that there, James, but I remember I said something about Thuram and Kone when they both played for France and everyone was raving about their performances. The same stands for Jones and Elliott, guys. It's the under-21s tournaments. They're not playing against high-calibre players, are they? Yes, there'll be certain individuals that are there that are high calibre, but they're not playing against fully grown men. Do you know what I mean? They're playing against under-21s, people at their level, their age, and so they should excel when they play for a club like Liverpool. They're probably in a team full of people that are from like Brentford or stuff like that. So it's a different ball game for me. Is that? So that there is just a load of rubbish that I think that Pearce has put in there. So that's the article, guys. I think overall, to summarise the article, I believe that it's to put a bit of pressure out there on Southampton for Lavia. I think the whole bit at the beginning was quite interesting to see about Szoboszlai and trying to big up Schmadtke, I'd say, a little bit about that but it triggered a release clause. And maybe there's a little bit in there as well that's kind of putting pressure on Klopp, saying, well, we've put out a massive outlay on this player here. You wanted this player. If this player fails, it's all your fault because you forced this transfer through. Do you know what I mean? Like, some sly stuff like that. Now, there's a couple other things I actually want to touch on, guys, on top of this. So, firstly, the news about Mbappe that broke earlier today, where Paris Saint-Germain have basically said that they're shocked that he wants to leave. However, no club in the world would let their best player leave for nothing next season. Mbappe's got a week or so, 2 weeks potentially, to make a decision, and then the door's open if he wants to leave. Apparently, PSG will sell Mbappe this summer rather than losing for nothing, as I think, and I quote, their chairman said, nobody's bigger than the club, no player, not even me, like this chairman's bigger than this club. Now, all the power to them to that. I think it's a good stance to have. But from a Liverpool's perspective, I'm not saying we're buying Mbappe. I'm saying that Real Madrid might go buy Mbappe and then PSG might come in for Mo Salah. I've said it a few times now. Keep your eye on it, guys. It's just a little bit of a warning. It might be nothing, but just keep your eye on it. We know that Salah's met with them before. So, yeah, especially when they've lost Messi as well. And if they lose Mbappe, they're going to want another prime player to come in. So, let's wait and see. Firmino is gone to Saudi Arabia. And all the power to him. And apparently the same club that he's gone to is also after Mane. So that would be good to see them two link up together again, wouldn't it? I know it's over in Saudi, but end of the day, it's two Liverpool legends that won it all with us. So it'd be good to see them link up together again, I think. And then also there's a few rumours going around that Fabinho's on his way to Saudi Arabia. Again, I'd only accept what from a country like that that's got a lot of money to throw around, 50, 60 million for him, and then they can have him. That's what I'd say, guys. What would you say about that? How much would you accept for Fabinho? Now, yeah, I think I'll leave that video there, guys. That's a pretty long video for that. Let me know down below what you think about everything underneath, guys. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. And if you are new here, subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with everything else I've got going on. And I'll catch you in the next one.